Welcome to the 22nd Common Session of Sunoikis Digital Classics 2016. I'm still at the Center for Hellenic Studies in Washington, D.C. for working on Sunoikisis, but today we have our guest from the University of Sofia, Dimitar Illiev. Dimitar is, well, a member of our community. He participated in Sunoikisis since the beginning, and with his students he has been working a lot for Sunoikisis, and today he's going to show the work that he has been doing with his students at the University of Sofia. So we have a common session about epigraphy, so how to teach Greek with epigraphy, with inscriptions, and at the same time how to teach epigraphy through Greek. You have everything in GitHub. We have the class outline of Dimitar, and we have also his slides and other links. So Dimitar, welcome to this common session.
Thank you, Monica. Is everybody hearing me?
I think so. Yes.
So I'm sharing my screen now. So, at first, the title of my common session was more ambitious than what you are seeing now, because I see it, what we began this semester with my archaeology students, as a part of a more ambitious project, which it proved we cannot do everything for one semester, but we will keep on working on this. And basically, what I'm doing with them, and what I will continue doing with them, is to teach them Greek, because I'm their ancient Greek teacher, through the use of epigraphical monuments, especially epigraphical monuments which are available online and resources which are available online, and also by teaching them Greek through epigraphy, trying to teach them some epigraphy, some of the technicalities of the epigraphy through the Greek, with the addition of some metric inscriptions also, which are usually not applied to the education of to the linguistic education of students, which are in early stages of their language learning. But I dared to do it this semester, and I think that this produced some results which were a bit unexpected for me. So let me start with the beginnings. The problem which you usually have teaching classics in Bulgarian, I suggest that the problems with the teaching classics, especially extra finis, what we extra finis, so the classes which are outside the classical department, the non-specialized courses in Greek and Latin, face the same problems, and the students vis-a-vis the heritage of classical texts, literary, epigraphical, and so on, face the same difficulties and the same challenges which has to be resolved. First of all, we have too little time. Usually, when I teach classics to non-classical students, to archaeologists or to other types of philologies, we have classes with a very reduced horarium, or if it's not that reduced, in any rate, it's too little to be able to reach the level which will need their needs, especially if you go through this bottom-up approach, which is the traditional approach. This approach is a bit questionable. For example, with the archaeology students, which learn 5 semesters of Greek, 2 hours per week, the time is still too little to reach the level step by step, by which they'll be able to decipher by themselves Thucydides or epigraphical texts. They could either read Thucydides only in translation, and then the question arises: what's the purpose of learning Greek, anyways? Or they will not be able to to read Thucydides in original, not to speak of epigraphic monuments, which usually present a whole bunch of problems of their own. So you cannot go, especially for these extra finis classes, you cannot go with a traditional approach which we use in the classical curriculum, starting from the alphabet and proceeding through the less difficult authors and the less difficult grammar, and then after it is fully taught, you proceed to more difficult grammar and more difficult authors, etc. You simply do not have time. Besides, teaching classics to archaeologists or to any students which are non-specialists, for that matter, is very hard concerning the choice of texts. Usually the textbooks which are available, which contain either adapted or pieces of non-adapted texts, they have texts which are not always compatible with the various other interests of the particular groups of students in question. The students in archaeology, in ancient history, in other philologies. We also have ancient Greek for Bulgarian philology, which I also teach. And all these groups of students have very, very particular needs, which no common purpose textbook could address. And then again, we cannot afford to prepare a great lot of textbooks for every discipline there is that might want to learn Greek. And the third problem, which is so to say traditional for classics, either intra or extra finis, either for specialists or for non-specialists, is how to link the students and their interests and their visions, how to link the texts to the students here and now. And this is what I've managed to do so far with a group of students which are second-year bachelor students in archaeology, and they've already had 2 semesters of Greek, which is to say this was their 3rd semester, and we will keep on until 4th and 5th semester doing the same things in different stages. These students have already had exposure to school book texts, adapted school book texts, but they didn't manage to have an exposure which is traditionally considered good enough in order to proceed to texts which are traditionally considered more advanced for such a level. So these 2 semesters of Greek mean something like 90 hours. No, maybe less. These 2 semesters of Greek means 60 hours worth of Greek for each student, which is definitely not much. To read texts which are really interesting and really advanced and really meeting their interests and needs. So, the grammatical competence of the students, the things I already taught them, more or less the traditional way, but also using some online material, which I will show you in a minute, is the following. It's not very much, but I deem it's enough, at least for the initial steps of what we were doing with them and what we keep on doing. They have the oververbs, the first conjugation. In we have covered the present tense in its different moods: the indicative, the imperative, the infinitive, and the participle. They know what's all about. They know about the imperfect tense of the first conjugation, and they know since 2 months or so about the future tense. We have covered this material. We have covered first and second declensions of names, and they have a general notion of what there is in Greek grammar. They have a general notion of all the tenses, all the name forms that are there. They know some heuristic and some perfective forms, isolated, like epoiesen or estesen, which are very useful to know for somebody dealing with inscription. They know the basics of the third declension, although we have not been able to enter into much detail in this. So you can see that this grammatical competence is very rudimentary from the point of view of dealing with complex cases, such as the epigraphic monuments, such as the text of the inscriptions. But what do we do? We need some digital materials available, and we start dealing step by step with some epigraphical texts, which at first were thought by them to be more complex, but we proceeded from the simplest forms of epigraphical text to the more complex. And now they're able to read texts which are a bit above and beyond this grammatical competence that they already have, using also the online resources, which for epigraphy, for classical epigraphy, now I can say that they are more or less enough. They are a lot. There are a lot in the internet. So at first, how we started. At first, I started applying with such students. Due to the lack of time, they will never have enough time to master the Greek language the traditional way, but they must cover some basic competences to make them competent enough, at least to be able to decipher the basics of the inscription and to hand it down to a properly trained epigrapher or a classicist, or to discuss with them, or to be able to read a bilingual source, say Herodotus or Thucydides, which might help them in their work, more or less using both the original and the translation, and being able to understand how the original corresponds to the translation, and if there are some peculiarities which have to be delved into deeper or discussed. Usually what I'm using with archaeology students, as well as with students for in all other philologies, because this is a text they know very well in Bulgarian, and this is a text they also use, for example, in Bulgarian studies, use in their dealing with medieval manuscripts, which are necessary of religious nature. This is one of the most popular Greek texts in this respect. This is the Lord's Prayer. At first, when we start, when we have accomplished already the task of knowing the alphabet and being able to read and write, more or less, I present them with these texts and the translation, of course. Of course, I use the Bulgarian translation, and knowing some basics about the script, about what there is in the grammar, etc., etc., that there are cases, that there are different tenses and declensions and so on. I ask them, okay, what is the Greek word for heaven in this? What I call a heuristic technique means that according to the basic rules that they have, they approach such tasks more as like practically solving particular problems without
Dimitar,
yes.
sorry for interrupting you, but we still see a Google Doc, I think, so we don't see the slides. Are you using the slides? Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem.
I've shared my screen. Do you see me?
Now, yes, I see you. Before, we could see a Google Doc. Sorry, a doc.
So now do you see the slides?
No, I still see you. You have to share the whole desktop. Okay, now I see your screen.
Now you see my screen. Now do you see the slides?
Yes, it's perfect.
Yes. So this is what I just told you. And yes, this is the group of students. And now to the particular task. So when they approach a task like this without having any or almost any grammar knowledge beforehand, and they approach it just like problem solving, you break so to say psychological barrier that they need to do in order for them to proceed more daringly into territories which are not that easy to approach. So, for example, these two texts, the text of the Lord Prayer in Greek and in translation, Bulgarian or English, when I ask them how do you say heaven in Greek, what they have to think and what 90% of the students come to the conclusion that this is true, actually, without knowing any kind of Greek beforehand, only being able to read it, to decipher the separate words, heaven, if you look closer to it, and if you're able to see it, and 90% of the students see it, heaven is the only word which is repeated 2 times in the first sentence of. So then we take the text. We say that uranois and urano are case forms of the word, which in its dictionary form is uranos. We explain the rules. How do you reach from these forms to the dictionary form? We enumerate the meanings. They search it in a dictionary. And then we may, if the course is for general education purposes, like for example with the Bulgarian philology and with all the beginners, we may say something about the Greek god of heavens, Uranos, and proper names that we have in modern European languages coming from these, for the planet, for example, or for the chemical element. Which is connected to the name of the planet. Usually, when I give the simple rules of syntax and of grammar, how to turn, for example, the present tense forms of the verbs or the second declension forms of the nouns into general dictionary form, we start using the texts which are the grammars which are available online. Do you see this?
Yes, we can see.
Yes, so you have plenty of educational pages in ancient Greek currently. Most of them are for Hellenistic or Biblical Greek, but at that level, it doesn't matter. When you have a lot of grammatical tables, when you have a lot of information in a simple and very beginner's way, which is available. So from this level on, we are able to build some very basic syntactic and morphological competence in the students, and then we proceed from simpler texts to texts which are more complex, and the approach, apart from them having to dispose of all the grammatical material in the form of links and tables to the different grammatical phenomena, the approach is always the approach of problem solving. You have some axiomatic assertions on my part. I give the rules, or I point to the rules in the grammars, be it online or offline, and then we have separate sentences, and they solve the problems of turning all the forms into their dictionary forms and establishing the connections between them, all the way using using the available digital resources for that. For example, the one I showed you is GreekLanguage.com, which contains a very comprehensive beginner's Greek grammar. So what about the inscriptions? The inscriptions, they they start appearing early in our education. I don't know if you see now. This is the Packard Humanities Institute page.
Yes, yes, we can see it. Yes.
And of course, because this is what they'll be seeing as Greek throughout their careers as archaeologists, their future careers, we are using inscriptions found on the territory of today's Bulgaria, or the regions which are neighboring. For example, this one, I don't know how well you can see it on the shared screen, but this is a very simple honorific inscription which dates from the 3rd century AD, and which contains, there are some inscriptions like that which grammar-wise are very elementary and contain not very complex grammar. This happens to contain almost first and second declension nouns and no verb, the things which they get used to quite early in their epigraphical training is that sometimes the verb is to be understood. It's skiliket, which to be honest makes the task simpler, because we do not have to deal with heuristic forms which might be too complex for them. But if we look at this inscription close enough, we see that these are texts which could be very useful and also very simple. Firstly, because of the said grammatical simplicity of these texts. Secondly, because they are highly formulaic. You see, it begins with a formula and it ends with a formula. It begins with agathe tuche, which they start identifying very, very early, and this is the way for them to learn something more about the dative case of mood, for example. And they end with a formula, which also they start recognizing very, very early, which helps them, which will help them later in the field, in their field work, if they happen to excavate an inscription or something, that at least if the first or the last lines happen to be formulaic, and you know that for inscriptions it usually happens then, they will be able to identify them. But in this particular inscriptions, as in all the inscriptions dealing with historical stuff, we have also other things which are very interesting for people who deal with the antiquities of Greece, Rome, and the local world, the province of Thrace, for example. We have one epithet which is very characteristic for status in the later Roman Empire, which comes in Greek exohotaton, ton exohotaton in this case, and which corresponds to the Latin eminentissimus. We also have in other examples lamprotatus, which corresponds to illustris or illustrissimus, and we have also different epitheta which correspond to clarissimus and so on, which is also an occasion to talk a bit about the social stratification of late Roman provincial society, something that you usually don't expect from a Greek class. And then you have different nomenclature in Greek for different titles of and offices of officials. For example, this eparchon to hieru praetorio, and also they learn something about bilingualism and language borrowings by that praetorio that you have in this inscription. This is of course the prefectus praetorio, which happened to be called Aurelius Heraclianos, as you see here. and then they are asked to find something about the Prefectus Praetorio in this particular age. This is from 3rd century AD, and to see what is the case with this inscription. It's obviously a statue dedicated, it's found in Augusta Traiana, dedicated to a certain Aurelius Heraclianus, also an occasion to talk about the Roman nomenclature system and how it changed with the time and how it changed in the Roman provinces, with the exception of the provincials as Roman citizens. And this statue of Aurelius Heraclianus, which was Prefectus Praetorio, was erected by a certain Mucianos, for which we still don't know anything. And this person was an Euergetes to Mucianos. So in order to establish if there is something special about these personalities, especially the Praetorian prefect, which is a high-ranking Roman official and may be seen in other documents and texts and inscriptions, the students conduce a search. For example, a search into first, on one occasion, one student was able to find this article about the Praetorian prefect in the ancient history portal Livius, and wondering why this guy could be an Euergetes to another provincial guy from Augusta Traiana. They came to the conclusion that because in the 3rd century, the Praetorian prefect was responsible for appeals against provincial governors. There might be some judicial case in which these Prefectus Praetorio intervened in favor of Mucianos, but we still don't know. We're trying to search the prosopographies, and when the student searched the prosopographies, one student did this, and he came to the conclusion that, do you see what I'm sharing right now? This is the prosopography Imperii Romani.
Yes, we can see it.
There isn't this particular person, and in the 3rd century many persons were named Aurelius something because of the Caracalla edict. This is also something they learn. But there is one occasion of another person, Marcus Aurelius Apollinaris, which is mentioned in the same corpus of inscriptions, actually, as a matter of fact, in an inscription which is found in the very vicinity of this inscription which we are dealing currently with. This is Inscriptiones Graecae in Bulgaria, 1569, and this is it. He was called also, of course, Marcus Aurelius Apollinarius or Apollinaris, and here is what the inscription is similar. Also a statue erected by this Mucianos in honor of Aurelius Apollinaris, and the prosopography tells us that he is Vir Prefectissimus, or Dies Emotatus, which we know from our inscription, who was Preses Provinciae Thraciae circa 2068. So a very detailed information we are able to draw from this inscription, which concerns not only the Greek language as such, and the students are being introduced to the Greek language, the Greek provincial language from late antiquity, which has its peculiarities, which has its own terminology, usually hard to grasp by somebody who has not dealt specifically with these inscriptions. But you also learn a lot of things about how are the people named in the Roman Empire, what names they received, what officials were there in the provinces, what were their titles, what were their duties, and also, if we happen to have such cases, you can even follow the career of particular persons throughout different inscriptions. And you can see this holds true especially for soldiers and for Roman governors. You can see how they moved around the empire in the provinces. And one student of mine actually did something that never occurred to me to do, what students sometimes do. Actually, they very often do when they have to search something. They Google search, or they search in Wikipedia. You usually don't expect to find such things, but one student of mine was able to find that our guy, this Aurelius Heraclianus, from this particular inscription, had a whole article in Wikipedia dedicated especially to him. So he's mentioned in several places except these provincial inscriptions, and there is a whole story of turning over the former emperor and participating in a plot to in favor of a future emperor during this turbulent age, which stays behind the name of this particular person. So there are a lot of other things that you can also say about such honorific inscriptions, but there are also private persons which were being honored by such late antique inscriptions, Greek inscriptions from the Roman province of Thrace. Here you see, I don't know how well you can see, but
Dimitar, can you just zoom it a little when you show the?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Excellent.
Now you can see it.
Yes. Thank you.
So here you see an inscription which is very curious, because it's grammatically it is a bit more complex than the previous one. It contains so it came after in our course of education. It contains a few words in the third declension and several other things which the students learn step by step. But it is particularly interesting because this is an inscription which was a honorific inscription and obviously a statue, which was erected both in the cities of Lacedaemon in Sparta and in Augusta Traiana, or today's Stara Zagora, for a certain Marcus Ulpius Genialis, or Geniales, as he is written in the Greek inscription, who was obviously, because we see the cause of the dedication, testeales aretesium passis henicen kai tesperi paideian kai logus pudes. He was either a rhetor or an attorney, or both. He was obviously a traveling rhetor who was originally from Augusta Traiana, which is called Glycitate Patris, and he also taught all around the Greek world, and he was obviously very popular in Lacedaemon, in Sparta. So you have a very curious case of something that you see in Greek literature, in literary sources dating from this period or from the period which was a little earlier. For example, the 2nd century, where the so-called second sophistics flourished. You see this figure of the traveling rhetor, of the traveling teacher of eloquence, who teaches paideia and logoi. And you see how these figures traveled from place to place, and they were you see how they were honored and how they were doing their job on everyday basis. You don't see them only as literary figures. And then we have also the case of traveling around the Roman Empire, traveling around the eastern provinces in particular, in late antiquity, in the Roman period. And here resources such as Pelagius may come in play. Here the students find Beroe, which is Augusta Traiana, and they see the road network, and they are able to calculate which were the available routes by which this teacher, this rhetor, could have traveled to Sparta, which you find. I cannot see now, but it should be somewhere around here. And also, you are able to do it with the available map resources, such as Pelagius. You are also able to calculate the routes by land or by sea using the Orbis project. I don't know how many of you are acquainted with it, but this is the project of the Stanford University, which used geospatial modeling, and you can calculate routes. For example, the problem with the Orbis site is that it does not contain all the points on the Roman road network. It contains only some, so we will not be able to calculate the route from Augusta Traiana or Beroe, but we will calculate it from Philippopolis, which is today's Plovdiv, which is near enough, and to Peloponnesus. They don't have Sparta, but to Corinth, let's say. And this is a geospatial model which uses very complex data. It uses nautical maps and atlases. It uses as a basis the Barrington Atlas of the ancient world, and many other resources. It's very detailed, described in the description of the project, and you are able to calculate routes according to the season, according to how fast, how cheap, or how short you want it to be, and according to various means of transportation, from mule cart to the cursus publicus that existed in the Roman Empire. So hypothetically, a rhetor from Upper Thrace could travel to Peloponnesus, and probably this Marcus Ulpius Genialis took a route which was similar to something like this. And this is probably one of the most fun parts of our education in ancient texts and ancient archaeology and history. The students take great fun in calculating routes from different points on these maps. But besides all these very curious indeed inscriptions in prose, I decided also to introduce, I didn't know if I will succeed in doing so, and to what extent could I succeed, to also introduce inscriptions in verse. Firstly, because a lot of inscriptions that you see, no matter how trivial the cause of their appearance, of their coming to be might be, every tombstone inscription, every dedicatory inscription could also be composed in verse. And you know that they use a very specific language, excuse me, very specific language for Greek poetic texts. So I decided that it will be useful for the students, step by step, even with the rudimentary grammar level that they have of reading and comprehension of Greek text by now, to introduce them to some of the peculiarities of the Greek verse composition and of Greek metrical texts. One of the most popular examples you see here on the slides is the so-called Anaxander stele, which is from the 6th century BC, and it was found in Apollonia Pontica, today's Sozopolis. You see, it's a funerary relief of a person who is leaned against his staff, and he's giving a piece of food, maybe a piece of meat, to his hunting dog. The relief was this is late archaic relief, very elegant, and the inscription was also very elegant. Here you see another representation. This is the original, one was a reconstruction, and here you see even a modern replica, which nowadays stands in the port of the sea town of Sozopol. This inscription was read from scholars which work is now in the public domain. So you can also see some of the publications concerning this inscription, some of which are very early indeed. They're dating from the end of the 19th century. This is why they are in the public domain. There is one first publication by Václav Dobruský from 1892, and a second publication, which is the final reading of the text. You see, it's from the Austrian scholar Ernst Kalinka from 1911, which the corpus of Kalinka actually is available in the public domain now. You can see it, you can browse it, and you can download it as a link. I've given the bibliographical details in my course description, and almost all of the verse inscriptions that we are working upon are taken from this corpus. Firstly, because it's available, you can use it. It's freely available for everybody with access to the internet. And secondly, because it contains monuments from all the regions where Greek monuments can be found in Bulgaria, and from of all the periods and styles. So you can see a great diversity of verse inscriptions in one volume. And here is the text of the inscription. I don't know how well you can see it, but I cannot zoom it here in the slide. And we started with these texts first. Reading the hexameters and then reading the pentameter. It is, I don't know if you have tried this in the classroom, but it is, I have to say, even for relative beginners, relatively easy to get the idea of metrical steps. And more or less they learn faster how to get the meter. Of course, you have to watch out, especially if dealing with inscriptions, that the meter is correct and you're not giving them a faulty meter, so they get confused. But if the meter is correct, we started with some pieces of Homer, it is pretty easy, even for a beginner in the Greek language, and even for somebody who is not that well acquainted with the dialects of the Greek poetry, to be able to read this metrically and to see how it goes. Not to mention that for this purpose, there are also a lot of materials already available on the internet, which I'm making full use of for my course with the archaeology students, as well as for my other courses. For example, for third year Homeric Greek with classical philology. There is a good introduction to Greek poetry and to Greek meter as a whole in a site which was produced actually not by any institution or any professional in the field, but by amateurs. This is the site avoidoi.org. I don't know if you know about it or you have used it, but it has a very nice collection of poetic pieces explained together with vocabulary and together with metrical analysis, and you have a lot of articles with sound files also to them about what was hexameter and the elegiac distic about, and how it probably sounded. Not to mention that if you search in the video repositories such as YouTube, etc., there are a lot of links to reciting ancient poetry. But this I advise my students to use with a caveat, because not all of the renderings of ancient Greek hexameter or elegiac distic are very good and are proper for our purposes. But this, for example, is a very good introduction. I will now play just 1 minute of it or something.
Those rules. And now I just want to talk about what the meter itself is. The decorative long shorts are main in
So you have the picture, you have the notes explaining what is, and you have the sound which reads it. Not to mention all the exercises we make in class in order for them to be able to become, if not fluent, at least good enough in recognizing it. And from then on, we have proceeded to more complex inscriptions, which I hope you see the slides now, which are given in Kalinka first in their facsimile form, just like this. And here it's this so-called heuristic problem solving taken to its extreme. I asked my students, and I'm currently analyzing the results, to actually, with the knowledge they have at their disposal, be able to, with the knowledge they have, to attempt to produce something like division of the words in this inscription. Why I'm saying that this is heuristic problem solving taking to the extreme, because usually when I give them with some simple texts like those we saw before, I give them in the instructions all the information needed for them to solve the problem. Here, when you're confronted with an inscription like this, you cannot have all the information that you need for solving this, for resolving this inscription, and I'm not giving it. I tell to them, and at first it was a bit shocking for them, but now they seem to like it more and more. You will in all probability fail in this. You will not be able to read all of this properly, and but that's okay, because even if you had 10 years worth training in Greek and 5 years worth of training in epigraphy, when you're confronted with an epigraphical monument in your fieldwork, or you just have a facsimile or a photograph, a facsimile like this, probably you also don't have 100% guarantee that you will not fail, that you will be able to read it properly. But by trying, and now I will show you some examples which I corrected. By trying, you can see how far you can guess with the knowledge that you have, and what are the things that you have to watch out for. And I have several students which have done these tasks more than good enough for their level. Now I'm gonna show you some of those. For example, one of my students was able to do something like this, which of course here in this part, for example, it's not perfect, but at least identifying some of the words and some of the formulas which could be very useful if you delve deeper into the poetic language of these inscriptions, something which is the next stage we are doing now with our students. And then when they send me homework like this, I send them a correction with the explanation where and why they got it wrong and where and why they got it right. And we proceed from here on to decipher the rest of the inscription that they they haven't done properly. So you give them the text. You give them the text of the publisher. Here you see the text resolved. They have identified some words already, and from here, something that is the stage we are currently in. Actually, so to say, the fun part starts, because, for example, you can search for this formula, Athanatois Makaresin, where it is, and if it's anywhere in the tradition of Greek poetry or in the Homeric tradition, for which purpose I advise them to use, of course, Perseus, where it is now, yes, and to search for separate forms or separate formulas. For this purpose, in order to be able to produce a search on Perseus, you also have to know, as you all know, you also have to know beta code. So one of the additional benefits of doing this is that we're now learning how to perform searches in beta code, which still proves useful in more than one respect. So you can see all the word frequency statistics. You can see where it's in the texts, and so on and so forth. After we're finished with that stage of the exercise, I will come up to them with a ready-made Bulgarian translation, which I have prepared, and which they will compare to what they have been able to find with my help into the text corpora and the dictionaries. And the final stage of it will be putting it aligned word by word into Perseids, which I hope will produce eventually at some point a small but ever-growing corpus of metrical Greek inscriptions from Bulgaria in Perseids, which Aldale want to publish so as to enrich the collection that they already have in Perseus. Here you have another curious instance, which is also very interesting if you search for some for some peculiarities of the text. The text is harder to read from the facsimile, but is much more interesting, and we will translate it with my help. And if you search, for example, into the Epigraphic Database of Packard's Humanities Institute for a formula such as entade keitai, which is very trivial for metrical and not only metrical inscriptions from the whole Greek world, you will see there are a lot of examples. So you don't need to search for formulas like this. They are so common that you don't get any information when you search for something like them. But if you search, for example, for epios, which is one of the many characteristics of this guy who has ordered a sarcophagus for himself, you will see that epios, for example, in the corpus of Homeric poetry, which is the Chicago Homer, epios is could be seen in many occasions, on many occasions, in the same metrical position. Here, I don't know. This is no, but at the beginning of the verse, you don't have an exact correspondence of these verse as you see it on the inscription, epios, hedius, idein, semnos, and so on. But you have probably 20 or so occasions of the word epios in the corpus of Chicago Homer, used, which means mild, gentle, used in the same metrical position, but in completely different contexts. Which means that these were persons which were educated in Greek, and they were able to both take ready-made formulas like Athanatas Makaresin, which you saw in the previous inscriptions, and use certain words or certain epithets at particular places in the metrical structure of the text, particular sedes, for example, as they call it in metrics. For example, the sedes of epios at the beginning of the epic verse is something which is very, very common. So we have been able to come up with some interim conclusions from such types of searches, which you can continue ad infinitum with them, which usually are observations that you can make on a much higher level of your scholarship and of your training as a Greek scholar or as a epigrapher or as a historian. We have some instances of high culture, which we see applied in our monuments to everyday life purposes, which is something that you usually don't see very often if you only read literary texts and you confine yourself to the monuments of the Greek literature, and don't dare go into the inscriptions, especially the metrical inscriptions. You see that doing inscriptions in verse is something that several scholars have called on the occasion of the birth of the Greek epigram, that this is something which occurred as craft as opposed to true art. And of course, you can see that in provinces of the Roman Empire, where Greek language education has had long traditions, and mostly it was an education of people who had not only Greek, but another language, say Thracian, as their mother tongue. You can see performing many searches in these epigraphical databases and the corpus of Greek poetry known as Chicago Homer and in Perseus. You see how texts or part of texts or metrical formulas or even single words are being constantly recycled in their use in various monuments. You can see whole phrases. You can see turns of phrase. You can see phrases which show variability, and you can see particular words which tend to be used always in the same metrical sedes, which comes to say not only that these people were educated to know their Homer or their poets, but that you can see how in these in inscriptions like this, usually the sense of the Greek meter, the sense of the Greek prosody, started to decline. The more the words tend to be used at the same place, throughout poetic texts, the more this this comes to say that you're dealing with a patchwork of ready-made pieces of texts, which people are starting more and more to compose, just like doing a puzzle, without any real feeling of variability in the structure of the verse itself. So it has something to say about the level of education and the level of language competence, and probably bilinguality or multilinguality in the Roman provinces, something that if you conduct special research for that, or if you look for special researches dedicated to that, these are still not available in great quantities, so you cannot accept ready-made information about these. And here are some other inscriptions we've been dealing with, but I don't know if I have to show you these. Probably if we have some more time, I can show you. But now I'm telling you how we are going to proceed with this. What else is there to be done? After I help them with reading through the text, after I'm helping them with the analysis, and after I'm helping them to collect information from various corpora as to the use of, and reuse of various metrical bits and pieces, we will produce actually, from what they have gathered together, translations which then we will align. We will start aligning. This is the next exercise. We'll start aligning in Perseids, and something that I must conduct additional training for this, but this is something that we may do the next semester. Some basic education in how you do tree banking, and some basic education in how you encode such types of inscriptions in Epidoc XML. Probably not the same students will be able to do both tasks. We will split the group in two. Every one of them will do the translation alignment, because this is something which is relatively simple. They already have done a lot in this respect. They have been moving towards this translation alignment with very many consecutive steps, but not everybody will be doing tree banking and Epidoc. They will be doing either one or the other, to get a feeling of the basic structure of the text, and hence basic structure of Greek monumental poetic texts in general. And we will use some Epidoc matrix, and I will learn them how to encode in Epidoc all these peculiarities of the inscriptions, which will not be that hard. So hopefully in one semester, what we will have, I'm still not showing you the last slide. What we will have is firstly, we will have a group of students trained in a lot of particularities of Greek language, provincial Greek terminology and language use, some historical realia, some metrics and prosody, and last but not least, the way metrical formulas are used and being reused. And in addition, we will have some material which could be used for further teaching and research by other students which are to come, for other classes, for people who are interested in similar problems elsewhere. And this is to accomplish all the cycle of the digitized material in education, the way I see it, and the way I believe from the talks and the sessions we have had so far, that this is actually the basic philosophy of how you use digitized material. You use the material which is available, you do something with it, you analyze it, you teach it, you learn from it, and then you produce new material based on it, which in its turn could serve as a ground for even further usage, teaching, research, and analysis. And basically, that's what I wanted to tell you. Now, I suggest that if you have some questions, remarks, or something.
Dimitar, thank you very much because you have shown many tools for working with students, and especially for this last slide, because we discussed that last year in Leipzig for the Sunoikisis seminar, planning seminar, when we discussed how to use online resources, what we have, also annotations, so that the students can learn by using these resources. They can analyze them and then they can start producing. So this is exactly one of the goals of our community. So there is a first question.
Oh yes,
by Simona. Yeah.
Something. Why am I splitting? Simona, can you hear me?
Yeah, I was just muted. Yeah, I can hear you.
So you're asking. I somehow don't see the chat now, but you were asking why am I splitting groups?
Yeah.
To be frank, simply because I don't know if they will deal with everything all at once. But we will see. And if it proves that it's all too easy for them to do one task or another, I may make them combine. But I don't want to push too hard, because I also see that it is a challenge not only for me, because this is something completely new that I'm doing. I haven't done it before, and I don't know what the results will be finally. But also this is something completely new for them. Nobody gave them to perform tasks for which they say in advance, okay, you will fail nevertheless, but still do it to see what will happen. This is very shocking for them, and I'm afraid that tree banking and XML at once could be also shocking. I don't know if this makes sense.
Yeah, Dimitar, you have to stop screen sharing so we can see you.
Yeah.
Somewhere you should find. Okay, excellent. Now we see you.
Yes.
Okay, there are other questions in the.
Why, Anise? Is that you? Do my students work in groups? Well, last year I tried a group for the things I presented at the last Sunoikisis session. I tried working in groups. This time, because the students are too few, for now I'm giving them. But for the next step, so to say, we might combine. I may divide them in two groups, or maybe even form one group of all. So this is all a group exercise for everybody of them. Probably I should give credits to them. The students of mine. There are 5 students which are working on it. But yes, I have not tried this approach to a group level. Still, I still need to do this.
Okay, other questions?
I have a question actually.
Yes.
So what is, you mentioned that you're using epigraphy essentially as a gateway through the learning of Greek as a language, right?
Yeah.
But epigraphy is nevertheless a discipline in itself. So did you have some introductory lessons about what is an inscription, what is an inscription as a source, what it represents technically, how it is inspected from other points of view, and what are the pedagogical outcomes that you expect besides the learning of Greek as a language? Because obviously inscriptions are a very precious source also from other points of view. So I was curious about.
Yes, thank you for that question. Well, at first, before introducing them to these texts in their bare form, as they are available on this Packet Humanities site, I started off by giving them examples, extracts from the actual corpora in which these inscriptions are being published, together with all the meta information, where it was found, what are the dimensions, etc., etc. The curious thing is that some of these corpora are written in Latin, so it's also an exercise in trying to make sense of the Latin of the corpora, which for a nowadays student it's a task which is not very easy by itself. But we have seen all the apparatus, we have seen all the historical comments which were made by the editors to all the inscriptions. And then I have given them some inscriptions like that for the provincial prefectus Praetorian, of which I made them make something out themselves, out of them. But yes, certainly we have read a lot of, well, maybe not a lot, but a certain amount of inscriptions before that, together with the apparatus, together with all the explanations, together with all the description of the monument itself. And they have a special course in epigraphy, which now they will have, which will teach them more about the technicalities of all this. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, and I think this is very interesting because, especially so your students are from archaeology, so for them, so they learn the language, but they are using objects, which is important for archaeologists, so they can learn so the language. So an epigraphy is not only a monument, an object, but it bears a text. So, and as far as I understand, they learn epigraphy, but you give them the text in the corpus, the collection, so they have to learn immediately, so to not only to read the text, but to use the tools, in this case,
yes,
the corpora, so how to analyze and interpret the editorial part of this corpora, so the
yes,
Latin translation or the critical apparatus in Latin and so on. So it's really practical learning. So yeah,
I hope so. That for them it's practical.
yes.
And they have a very good idea about what there is on the net as tools and as publications concerning what they might be interested. So I hope they push it themselves into various directions that I even may not have expected from them at the beginning.
Yes,
They
and
know their resources, and they're learning now how to work with them.
yeah, you have shown many different online resources, and I'm happy you mentioned also Wikipedia, because they use Wikipedia, we use Wikipedia, but we have to learn and we have to teach how to use Wikipedia.
Yes.
Because
yes.
it is a resource, it can be useful, but of course we have to be careful about that. But now, as you have shown, we have interesting entries. In this case, I don't remember the name, but we have a specific entry in Wikipedia
Yes.
about a person mentioned in one inscription. So it's quite a very specific entry. So
yes, I didn't expect it.
Yes.
The students found it. I would never dare search in Wikipedia for a name like this, but it proves that sometimes this approach helps.
Yes, they definitely dare to Google and to find these things online. Yes,
Yes.
that we don't dare, but then we find these things, and as far as I could see, you can find a lot of information about. So that's why Wikipedia is useful. But and then of course they have to learn that they can edit the entry.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Exactly, I was going to say that. They
Yeah.
can also contribute and also post their own translations. There is the Wikimedia Commons thing, I think, on Eagle, where everyone can basically translate any inscription that is in their wish list, and
Yes.
they can share it with the world in any language. So if they know they're Bulgarian students, I assume, so they maybe can contribute also in their own language, in their own first language. So that would be awesome, I think.
This is something great as an idea, actually.
Yeah.
I have to make them do it. Probably it will be great. Thank you.
Yes, we have seen in other common sessions about epigraphy during this semester, so how to use these tools online for sharing pictures of inscriptions, how to annotate them, so definitely. So now they have these tools. Of course, students have to learn how to use these tools, but they are very, very useful. Okay, thank you, Chiara, for the link. So I will add the link to also to the, because we have our YouTube channel, so we can put the link also there, so we can keep all these links. If you go to the live broadcast, you will see, and we preserve them. So we have a list of links. So I pasted the links that you presented, Dimitar, in the YouTube channel. Other questions? We still have 1 minute. Let me see if in YouTube. Okay. So, well, I think that today, so thank you, Dimitar, because we have seen a lot, and I'm happy about this common session because during this semester we have talked about epigraphy, we have seen different resources, including, of course, Epidoc, tree banking, but this common session was very useful because now we have an idea, so really how to work with students, how they can use many different resources, and you have added many other resources. So we have them, as I said, I have put the links in the YouTube channel, so we have them, but we also have your class outline where you put your links and your slides. So I think that now, is 6:15 in Leipzig, here is 12:15, so yes, I'm different time zone. So Dimitar, thank you. Okay, Gabby, yes, yes, I agree, Gabby. Yes, I enjoy it. Yes, it's an inspiration for how. Yeah, definitely. So of course, I have to thank you all because I think that with these common sessions we are learning a lot how to teach digital classics, and I'm happy because we are really building a community of teachers and students. Yes. So Dimitar, thank you very much, and so thank you all for your participation today. We will see next Wednesday for our last common session of this semester, 2016, and for the final common session we will have Mariam Foradi from Leipzig for open versions, something different, but as you know we are well trying to expand our SunoikisIS digital classics community. So thank you very much and see you next Wednesday. Bye. See you. Bye.